consumers still aren't feeling a lot of this.
So I'm with Ken Vieth, president of ACT Research. We're in sunny Columbus, Indiana right now. We just wrapped up Seminar 73, the Market Vital presentation by Ken's big team here at ACT Research. And Ken, I wanted to, you might be sick of talking about it by now after a few days, but I wanted to dive into some tariff issues with you, if I could. And one thing that was mentioned during the seminar this week was the Goldman Sachs report that the tariffs are being pushed, 80% of the tariff costs are being pushed onto consumers right now. I'm curious about your take after talking with some of your fellow analysts here and other panelists you've had at the conference this week. How that is impacting the freight market today and how you see that going into the future.
Sure. Yeah. So just a quick correction.
Okay.
It's consumers and businesses. So that 80%. So and I think there was a subsequent Wall Street Journal article that indicated something like 65% of the tariffs are being being absorbed by businesses right now. So consumers still aren't feeling a lot of this. So I think. I think one of the comments I made today is as the administration is releasing the tariff numbers, kind of take 80% of that number per the Goldman Sachs report, and that's taxes being paid by U.S. businesses and U.S. consumers. The government's collecting the money, but we're paying it, and then. If you see inflation in goods, we saw a bad PPI number last week, and we saw CPI starting to come up. But if we just say goods cost 5% more, we're still going to spend all the money we have. We're just going to get 5% less stuff, and stuff is what trucks haul.
Yeah, not services, and that.
Yeah, not a lot of services. Yeah.
Well, on top of that too, we have the 232 tariffs coming up. The steel, which affects steel and aluminum. What's your take on how that's going to impact the manufacturing side of the commercial vehicle industry?
So I think we've been dealing with 232 tariffs since February 1st. We had the 25% on steel and aluminum, and then at the end of May, beginning of June, we got the move to 50% on those tariffs. We've seen trailer prices pushed up. We've seen a couple of price increases in the Class 8 market. Taking a swag, and we don't get great pricing information, but I think the price of a Class 8 truck from kind of the middle of May to the end of June, rose by around $6,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you anticipate that happening more? Is this something that fleets should try to get ahead of, or is this something wait and see because the tariffs could be rescinded also at some point?
So I think there are another round of 232 tariffs that we believe we're going to find out about next week, which is the manufacturers that are producing in the United States that are bringing in parts with tariffs on them are being disadvantaged by those tariffs, where competitors who are manufacturing autos and trucks in Mexico, as an example, and if you're bringing that truck across the Mexican border as a USMCA compliant vehicle, you're not paying the same tariff load that someone manufacturing in the United States is. So kind of the scuttlebutt in the industry is that that announcement is likely to drop sometime before the end of the month.
Okay. The month being August, so we're...
The month being August,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just curious, too, as someone who has been following this industry for many years, and his job is to forecast and help people plan, how difficult is this environment that we live in right now?
We have joked, and probably it would have been advisable, especially earlier in the year, that we really not only needed to date stamp our forecasts, but timestamp our forecast. As an example, I was giving a presentation down at the NPTC's conference in Orlando back in May, and while I was presenting, Chinese tariffs were changed. So in real time, this is impacting the work, and the on again, off again, kind of cadence of the tariff announcements has certainly made it very difficult to forecast. I can't imagine being a manufacturer.
Mm.
It's another thing when you're planning materials and planning labor and trying to run a production facility.
Yeah. What has surprised you? We sat here together 6 months ago during Seminar 72 as the tariffs were really, the threat was there, and they were unrolling out in February. Is there something that surprised you about over the past 6 months that you didn't expect back then, when it was more, this is going to happen, and now we've kind of been living a half a year through it?
I think the thing that everybody has been surprised by, and with Donald Trump did say that tariff is his favorite word in the English language. So with that caveat, it wasn't like he was telegraphing what he was going to do, but
Yeah.
it's policy by tweet and fiat. There appears to be little regard for the impact of the tariffs, and the optics are almost more important than what is being I think trying to be accomplished.
But is there opportunity within that for business leaders?
If there is, I don't.
Okay.
I don't see them. The U.S. economy. We're competing in a global economy, and U.S. manufacturers are having to pay tariffs on steel and aluminum. So as we export back into the broader global economy, our manufacturers are competitively disadvantaged.
Yeah.
We can even go back to the Trump's original tariffs in 2018. Industrial production, and I would say U.S. manufacturers are still running below the pre-tariff trend that was prevailing back in 2018. So the damage that was done in 2019, I think, was largely lost in the pandemic, and those tariffs were very targeted and specific, and arguably kind of rational, and this is just seems to be a global tariff fest with a sledgehammer.
Well, I'd like to maybe try to end our conversation on a positive note, if you think that's possible.
Yeah.
And after everything you just said, I don't know if that is, but what's something positive, something optimistic that you took out of the past 2 days of this gathering?
I think ultimately the U.S. economy is resilient. We're a nation of doers. We've got a big surge of productivity coming down the line. We've got tight population, so wage growth should pick up. And while I'm concerned about the U.S. economy's competitiveness in say manufacturing, the U.S. economy is very deep pocketed, and we'll get through this. Finding out whether this is a level change on tariffs, or whether this becomes something worse. But if we look out, year and a half, we'll be through this and should be talking about positive things again.
Well, I hope that you and I get a chance to talk about positive things for the next couple of years too.
Right.
And thanks as always for having Fleet Owner down here in Columbus and at the seminar. We always pick up a lot of good information and see a lot of good people.
Oh, pleasure. Thanks for coming, and always enjoy your work.
Thanks, Ken.